Welcome to another Kevon Godfrey Youth Empowerment Program. I'm your host, Coach Ricardo. We have another one. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, welcome back to the Kevon Godfrey Youth Empowerment Program. Yes, we have been absent for a while. You know, we had a mission trip in Jamaica that was wonderful. So now we're back, and today we have a great program for you, my audience. Let me just say thank you for being a part of this program. For those who don't know, the Kevon Godfrey program is geared to inspire, uplift, and motivate our student athletes and coaches and people in general by the sharing of testimonies of coaches and athletes and individuals all over the world of the incredible work of God in their life and how it is effective enough, not only just for them, but to help others. I'm your host, as I said before, Coach Edwards. Happy to have you here. As we normally say on this program, that you might have gone through last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Guess what? In spite of what you went through, today is Sunday. You made it through an entire week, and that is something to be thankful for. And we can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth us. Today we have another wonderful program. I'm super excited to have my guest with us. He is a coach, a parent, a mentor, a man who loves God. He's Coach Anthony Westin, and he'll be sharing his journey and talking more about his program and also in partnering and see how best it can impact the lives of kids all over the world, specifically in Jamaica, those who are on the platform. I want you just to make welcome Coach Anthony Westin to the Kevon Godfrey Youth Empowerment Program as he come on. Hey, Coach, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Listen, I'm being thankful. I'm super excited to have you on this platform today, Coach. Finally, we were
Man,
supposed
thank you
to.
for having me.
Yes, sir. We were supposed to have it last Sunday, and Mother's Day. Yes, I did that. Nearly got myself in trouble. Nearly had to call Coach and say, Coach, can you put me up on your couch? You understand me? But hey, God, God prevailed. Wisdom prevailed, and we place it for today. And Coach, I thank you. I know that today you had some things doing, and you made the time for me to be here to share. And I want to say thank you so much, Coach. So quickly, who is Anthony Westin in a nutshell?
Anthony Westin is the oldest son of three boys who grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, played high school basketball at a very... Are y'all familiar with Mylisha Fulwiley? Plays for the University of South Carolina. The phenomenal...
Oh,
Mylisha Fulwiley.
Yes.
Well, she's an alumni of the school in which I played basketball for. So I am a Keenan Raider. So I graduated from Keenan High School. 1991 state champion.
Wow.
First state championship at our school since 1970 something. So it was like a 20-year route. But if you know anything about my alma mater, it's been pretty successful over the last 25 to 30 years. So I come from a long basketball rich tradition basketball in the Columbia area. Upon graduation from high school, I went to junior college after high school in Morristown, Tennessee, and then went on to play at Virginia Intermont College in Bristol, Virginia, where I was a part of 2 national tournament teams, as well as had an opportunity to travel abroad. My life was changed on the back road to China, as I like to tell people, on a missionary trip. I thought I was going to China to find a job to play basketball. I ended up finding Christ on the way there, on the road. So,
wow.
As a result, my life has been impacted and changed because of basketball. I share all the time that basketball saved my life.
Wow,
But
wow,
more
wow.
importantly, God saved my life through basketball.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
now that, from a different perspective. Um, I am a full-time banker, but I love the game so much that I'm a varsity girls basketball coach at a preparatory school here in Somerville, South Carolina, named Pinewood Preparatory School. Been there 16 years. I've been the head girls varsity basketball coach for 4. Prior to that, I was an associate head coach for about 4 or 5 years. That's kind of me in a nutshell. I'm a husband. Little does Coach know that last week, if we would have had this call, I probably would be sleeping on his couch. So good call on your part. But I'm excited to be here and just excited to see what bridges we can build between, what you're doing and what we're doing here in South Carolina. So thank you for having me on the call.
Wow, wow. Hey, thank you. You're most welcome, Coach. Hey, it's a lot. A female varsity coach. When did coaching for you started? And then being a male basketball player, a little further, I want you to tell me about why did you specifically choose female basketball? But when did coaching started for you?
Coaching started for me when I was in high school, actually. And I've coached teams since I was probably a junior, senior in high school. Whether it was a small, 5, 6-year-old team. I actually coached my younger brother, my younger brother's team when I was my freshman year in college. And so I've been coaching for a very long time. And it's been, no matter how many times I say I'm not coaching this year, I always find my way back to it. And it's the single most, you're blessed to be a blessing. And I've been blessed to have had some great coaches along in my journey. And, I just feel obligated, convicted, and more importantly, commissioned to continue to give back through the game of basketball. I think that's what God has gifted me with, and I just love it.
Nice.
Honestly, I just love the game. It means so much to me, so it's very hard to step away from.
Well, I can tell you, I know how that felt, because I coached for 25 years back home when I was in Jamaica, at a high school, and there several times I said, this is my final year. I'm finished now. And that final year led to maybe 5 more, 6 more years, still saying that it's my final year. So hey, I do understand. So where was your first
I
coaching?
know
Go ahead, Coach.
exactly how you feel.
So when was your first coaching stint?
My first coaching stint was, I graduated from college after I went through a very turbulent time in my life. And I ended up I dropped out of school for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, and then went back to school in 1996. And then graduated in 99. My first official coaching job was at a very small Christian school in a town called Beaufort, South Carolina, where I was the girls varsity basketball coach, and I was also the athletic director at a school called Praise Christian Academy. That was my first coaching experience, probably in the early 2000s. But like I said, I'd always coached in some capacity, whether it was, a youth team or a rec team or something along those lines. And then about 17 years ago, I got an opportunity to be the boys basketball coach, middle school coach at Pinewood Prep. And from there, got an opportunity to take over their girls JV. And like I said, about 12 years ago, it's been about 12 years ago, had the opportunity to be a part of the varsity staff. and then was promoted to the associate head coach. And 4 years ago, I took over as the girls varsity coach.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yes.
Well, must be something good going on for you to be climbing the ladder. Understand? Must be something
Yeah,
great.
it's been yeah. Over the years I've trained kids, so I've had a number of kids that I've trained and have gone on to play collegiately, and like I said, I've got a pretty good background in terms of whether it's skill development or simply just being a mentor or coach. I like to take pride in. I like to say that I'm a player's coach, but when it comes down to it, I'm just a guy who is thankful that the Lord has blessed me with this platform, honestly,
Amen.
and
Well,
the impact it's had on my life. So that's kind of what it all comes back to, honestly.
into that. So being in your profession, you're a Christian and you're a coach. Is there any challenges that you face in both? Because the dynamics of coaching, sometimes people get over, we can get intense at times. But how do
Yes.
you balance that and still, serve faith in Christ and be a coach at a high performing level?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is
Hello? I do apologize. Seems like my guest has some. Oh, I think he's back on now.
can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, coach.
Sorry
Go
about
ahead.
that.
That's okay.
Coach, can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing
Sorry
you.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was your question?
How do you balance it being a Christian, you understand me, and a coach performing at a high
Yeah, how do
level?
I
Yeah.
balance?
Yes.
Yeah, how do I balance? Honestly, the balance comes from knowing that you want to represent the Lord well, and there's nothing wrong with being competitive, and just always going. I always say, how would my grandmother feel if I act the way if I came out of character? But more importantly, how would God feel if I came out of character and did the things that would bring dishonor to Him? I think that's the balancing act. I know that you can be competitive and you can be fierce and you can have all the drive that you need, but there's also that humility that comes with that you always have to be mindful of, is that you're a representative of something that's greater than yourself, and you want to just honor Him in the way that you carry yourself. So that is how I balance that. Like, yeah, I'm competitive and we want to win, and it's the language I use, the way I treat my players, the way I interact with parents, is a reflection of how the things I tell my parents and my players all the time is that if you expect me to be perfect, I've already failed you. And I think a lot of times parents, that take them, that kind of that's unusual in some respects, because I'm human.
Yes.
If you expect me to be perfect, let's just put it out there now. I'm gonna fail you. So and I tell my players that all the time. I'm not perfect, so I strive to be perfect, but no one's perfect. So I think that, me sharing that early on and with them often, I think, kind of helps with the humility, but also providing balance and knowing that, it's okay to be honest.
Yes.
and admit when you're wrong. That's kind of how I balance it.
So true.
It's a
So
very
true.
tough world we live in. It's a tough world as a coach.
Yes, it is.
It
Yes.
is. It
Yes, it
is.
is. Yes, it is. And I like you
So
strike the word balance, you know, and just being a realist. Hey, I'm not perfect. Yeah, I strive towards being more and more like him,
yeah,
but it's a work in progress. It's a work in
yeah,
progress.
it
Right.
is.
So, from your point of view, you know, with your program and this, what do you look for, especially when it comes to um having a competitive nature, want to win, you know, because you're in a sport of winning. You understand me?
Right.
Uh, what do you
Yes.
look for when it comes to players? You know, how do you seek those who you know, to build your program? What are you looking for? Let me just put it that way. What type of players? Student athletes? It should
What
be
am
a
I
must.
looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because I do coach at a preparatory school where academics is the priority.
Hmm.
Pinewood has a 98% college acceptance rate.
Wow.
Every class that you take that you at Pinewood is considered to be a core class. So of course you got to be a good student there. But what I look for is I look for kids that are competitive, that are selfless. Because I'm a ball movement, player movement kind of person.
Hmm.
I'm a Hubie Brown. I love Hubie Brown. As long as I can remember, I just always Hubie Brown say ball movement, player movement. And I've had some coaches throughout my career that have always emphasized, you defend, you defend first, and offense takes care of itself.
Hmm.
Um, because I am an offensive oriented player, I loved offense. I take a lot of pride defensively. So, you got to want to guard, you want to defend, you want to rebound, and pretty much offensively, I'm all about ball movement, player movement. You know, but I allow there's freedom within boundaries when kids play for me. So
Okay.
so those are the kind of kids I look for: competitive, tough, that want to get better, and coachable, really and truly.
Mm.
Coachability is and have good attitudes. And I know they're competitive, and we're going to have our moments when a kid may want to respectfully appeal to me as a coach, and I'm okay
Yes.
with that. It's how you do it. Because, and it's funny, I was just talking to somebody today at this graduation event that I was at. I will call a timeout and I will simply say, what are you seeing out there? Because I have a view that you don't have. And I learned that from my college coach, is that as a coach, you're on the sideline. So you have this one view of the floor versus the players actually are seeing the intricate parts of of each possession, offensive and defensively. So I see different angles that I'm missing and that you all can see. So, I like to get a lot of feedback from my players, just to give them the freedom that they can talk to me. Doesn't
Yes.
necessarily mean that, I will change what I'm doing, but I've learned a lot listening to them
Mm.
and, having to make an adjustment based off of what they're seeing in those moments. But I learned that from my college coach, and that's something that I've used and implemented in my coaching profession. Is that, yeah, we chart we have the game plan and we have all of these things that we want to accomplish, but it's like a military operation. The boots on the ground are the ones that make the difference.
That's right. That's right.
So the players actually, the players are in the middle of it. So there's nothing wrong with getting their perspective on what they see in the game at that particular time. And it takes a lot of humility as a coach to do that. It really does, because we like to be in control. So
Mhm.
sometimes relinquishing that control is difficult, and that's something I learned over the last couple of years as a head varsity basketball coach. So those are the kind of kids I like. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me what I need to hear.
Well, okay. So those who are listening, hey,
Yeah.
players, potential players, if you're on this podcast, or if you're on this link and you're listening now, or you've been listening on YouTube, so you hear what Coach said. That's what he's looking for. That's what he's looking for.
Yes. Right.
What are some of the challenges or obstacles that you face being a female basketball, well, coach overall, but say a female basketball, high school or prep school coach? What are some of the challenges or the roadblocks that you'll encounter?
Some of the roadblocks is that because we have a relatively small school population, we typically have to share a lot of our athletes with different sports teams. So, for example, I had 4 soccer players that played for me this year.
Basketball?
And that was strategic. Here's why.
Tell me.
These girls are, if you know soccer players, they have very good footwork.
Yes.
All right. And soccer, you can't really play with your hands. Especially with touching the ball. And the angles in which there's a lot of comparisons with basketball. So they understand diagonal and down. So if they so in soccer, they've been trained to look opposite side of the field.
Yes.
Or what we would call the weak side of the floor. So they were instrumental in the way we play in terms of how much pressure we can apply. So if we want to play full court press, I could mix and match and throw some soccer players in there. And, as a result, we were able to play a different style depending on the team that we were competing against.
Wow.
So, those are some of the, So having to create a offensive and defensive plan around, integrating kids from different sports that basketball is not their primary sport is things that I've had to do over the past couple of years.
Wow.
So, the biggest challenge is, you give me 2 or 3 girls that are basketball players, ideally a point and a guard, or either a point or someone that can create for themselves. Listen, that's a whole nother world.
Okay.
Entirely different world. So yeah.
Wow.
So yes. And I run a lot of Princeton stuff. I like to get early transition threes. Defensively, I do a lot of scheming in terms of trying to take the best players out of the game. Combination of defenses. So it's just like anything else. My college coach said there's no secrets in basketball. We all have our things that we like to do. It's just a matter of who executes. That's what it comes down to. So,
that is so true. That is so true. Who executes? All right. So I know we've been talking regarding, about international players. If you're looking for an international player, what is the ideal player, or what type of player would you want if you're going that route to bring to a school with the prestige of yours? You understand me? What are you looking for, Coach?
Looking for a kid that is okay with being in an environment that's going to make them uncomfortable.
Yes.
Simply because you're going to be away from home, so you've got to be willing to be uncomfortable. 2, we do have at our school, we do have host families, so being able to integrate and understand the rigors that comes with being at our school. The academic rigors are pretty tough, but it's very, very, very well worth the investment. Someone who, or some young lady or athlete that wants to get better and is willing to assume a leadership role. That's something that I really like. I had a girl 2 years ago that played for me. She was from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal basketball player. And the thing that I loved the most about her was that she was just competitive, but she was very unselfish at the same time. To the point where, as an offensive-minded player, I would say I need you to be aggressive. Like I'm always about, we can't score if you don't shoot the basketball. Like that's my thing. That doesn't give you the license to just take bad shots when you want to. But I firmly believe that if you're open, you're in the rhythm, and you're in your range, then you need to take advantage of those opportunities that present itself to you. So those are the things that I look for in a player who wants to guard, who wants to defend, but also is okay with understanding that if you move, the ball movement, player movement, it's going to come back to you. Good things happen when the ball moves and you move.
Yes. Nice. All right. So, student athletes.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. What advice would you give to somebody who's listening now, who is pursuing, say, a female high school player? What will you tell them? Say they want to go to the next level, or to even be in a program like yours. And I'm specifically speaking to international athletes right now.
I would advise anyone that's interested in coming to the States. You want to be fundamentally sound, one. Two, you want to be open to opportunities that may not look like they might be ideal for you. Why? Because, for one, I live in the state of South Carolina. And there's this university that's called the University of South Carolina that just went undefeated. And South Carolina is a hotbed right now for basketball players. And, it doesn't matter. And I would also tell them, it doesn't matter where you play, what your team's like, what your record is, determine whether or not you're capable of playing at whatever level that they're at.
I want you to repeat that for me, because you were going out a little.
I said, you want any coach any college coach in America or anywhere can walk in the gym and then within three possessions or 3 minutes can determine whether or not you can play. And it doesn't matter where you play. It doesn't matter the competition level that you play at. Yes. It doesn't matter the record of your team. It does not matter what divisions you play in. If you can play and a coach has a need, they're going to find you. And that's the thing that I would tell a lot of kids, because a lot of times kids want to go to these schools that have this rich history of, they're this and that, they've had all these wins, whereas most diamonds in the rough are found in places where most people don't look.
That's true.
And that's so true.
Yes, sir. That's
so true.
I want to touch a segue.
Like I said, the young lady.
I said I want to touch a segue in this.
Yes,
please look in Jamaica. I'm just saying. Understand me? Look in Jamaica. There are some diamonds there. All right.
I know there's some diamonds there. I know. And if you're interested, you need to get in contact with me.
Oh, hold on.
Because there's opportunity.
You've heard that?
I'm just saying, you said the diamonds there. I'm looking for them in the rough.
Hey, you heard that? Female basketball high school athletes, Coach Westin said, if you're interested, you need to get at him. I say no more. You heard it on the Kevon Godfrey Youth Empowerment Program. All right. Go ahead, Coach.
Yes. I'm in sales in my full-time job. So, I don't have to, like I said, there's an opportunity to
Mhm.
play
Yes.
if you have the desire, the attitude, and the fundamentals. And the big thing is a lot of kids want to go Division 1, but there's some really good D2 schools, really great D3 schools. There's really good programs on every level that kids can have the opportunity to play. So it's the right fit. You know, if there's a right fit. If you've got the skill and you want to get better, there's a right fit out there for you.
Mm.
Especially if you're a really good athlete, because there's a lot of money for academics out there.
Mhm. Oh yes.
So
Oh yes.
there is.
All right. Let me say this, coach. So
Yes, sir.
I hear you said reach out to you, and really that's an invite, and you know, I pray that somebody who's listening right now who's there and is interested will make that lunch, because after we'll have some question and answer. But let me say this, coach. Let me ask you this. What would you say
Yeah.
to someone, whether an athlete, a coach, you know, you have gone through what you have, you know, being an athlete first and foremost, and then now coaching. What would you say to somebody who wants to give up? I mean, when it comes to life or sport, I just want to throw in the towel because of the pressure that they're facing and stuff. What would you say to such an individual right now?
I would tell them that you, for a light affliction, which lasts only for a moment, work for a far more exceeding weight of glory.
Mm-hmm.
And I can personally attest to that. In the beginning, I remember I told you I took some time off
Yes.
from basketball. Well, 1994, I was on my way home. I was on my way back to school, and this is my testimony, and I will share it. I was on my way back to school. I had a friend that was coming to pick me up. I was supposed to leave the very next morning. I never missed school. I got in the car that someone had narcotics in. I ended up going to jail. I ended up spending a year and a half of my life going back and forth from Knoxville, Tennessee to Columbia, South Carolina, because I had to report to court every month or every other month. And at that point, all I could think of was I was looking at 8 to 12 years in prison.
Mm.
But because I just knew that wasn't God's plan for me, and by God's grace, I walk in one day and the lady who was the secretary at that time told me my case was dismissed.
Oh, wow.
At that point, I made it my promise to myself that, and I went through a lot during that time, a lot. And I wanted to give up, but I just knew that there was something greater for me than the current circumstances that I was in. And I took some time off and I went back to school in 1996. And as a result, I played on 2 national champion tournament teams.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So if you want to give up, don't, because it may seem everything may be chaotic right now. But if you just focus and you just believe that there's something greater than your current circumstances, and that you have the faith to believe that God will change things, you will be surprised. As they always say, be careful what you ask for, because you might get it,
Mm.
and more than what you expect.
Yes. Wow. Thank you for
And
that.
I look back on I look back on my experiences, and at the time I didn't see how it benefited me. All I could see was all I could see at that time was the turmoil and the uncertainty. But now I see how this shaped me as a coach and why I care about my athletes and the young people that I've been blessed to be a part of their lives, because my college coach gave me a chance. He didn't have to. I called him and said, and his name is Phil Worrell. I called him and said, hey, coach, do you have a spot for a wingman on your team? And he said, I do, but I need you to do me one favor. And that was get my old high school teammate to come back to school with me.
Wow.
And I said, that's it. 3 years later, graduate. And I asked him, I said, Coach, what I owe you? And he said, you do not owe me anything. All I ask is you give somebody else an opportunity that I gave you.
Wow.
And that has been the most powerful thing that someone's ever told me. Just give somebody the opportunity I gave you. He could have easily said, oh no, you just came out of this situation where there was drugs involved and so forth, and he could have said no. But he gave me a chance. So I give people chances because somebody gave me a chance. Well, God gave me a chance.
Amen.
Through him.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Coach, I really thank you for just sharing with us. Thank you for sharing this. Go ahead, Coach. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's it. I used to be ashamed of that story. I used to be ashamed to tell people that. But I'm not ashamed. You know, because that is quote unquote the stereotype of, you know, certain communities.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm a testament that I'm a testament to God's grace and someone just taking a chance on them.
Amen. Someone
it was
needs
mine
to
to
hear
blow
that.
it.
That's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Someone needs to hear that. Someone needs to hear that, Coach. Someone needs to hear that. I know somebody needs to hear that. You understand me?
Yes.
Yes, we might go through adversities and challenge, some evil, self-induced. But as long as we're open enough to take that chance, take that second chance when it is given, you know, especially the love of God, you know, when he's reaching out, you know, his arms are open wide, you know, to receive. And he said he'll put it in the sea of forgetfulness and remember them known. What a thing, God said, listen, I will not remember it anymore. You understand me? I really thank you for sharing that, you know. I know, as you said, it's personal, but, you know, somebody's here. Somebody might be here listening that they needed to hear that, Coach. They really needed to hear that. We thank you, Coach Westin, for just sharing. Now, we normally have a question and answer segment on this program, and persons who are on the platform, you know, I normally give 3 questions. You can ask Coach Westin a question pertaining to what he has shared. Especially if you're a student, athletes, or coaches on the program, you can ask him, you know, various things about what does it take, you know, how to improve, you know, things like these. You know, the microphones can be open right now, and you may go ahead. Anybody, any question for Coach Westin? Anyone? Any commendation? Anything? You may unmute your mic and ask.
There's no such thing as a silly question. So don't be shy.
All right. No question is a silly question. Go ahead. Don't be shy. Anyone.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. This is Johnny Neal, Trey's dad. Hey, Coach.
Hey. My brother.
Congratulations on everything you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And I just wanted to tell the coach that we're listening. Thank you for your testimony, for encouraging other people who may have made mistakes. I guess my question would be, what would be the advice that you would give up and coming young people regarding their work habits, as far as athletics and as far as school and how they can help them academically? Because I feel like you're positioned to speak to that.
Yes, that is a great question. You know, it's funny. Work ethic, it starts with internally, right? So if you internally decide that you want to be something, you can't say you want to be something and not put the action behind that. So I always say, I can usually tell the type of student athlete I have based on the way they play. If I see an ultra competitive student athlete, whether it's a basketball player or soccer player, I'm usually pretty solid about what kind of student they are. If they work hard, if you work hard in class, you're going to work hard athletically. Sometimes we need a little bit of push and a little bit of nudge, but I would tell you this, as someone who has been in the preparatory school setting for a long period of time, academics is the great equalizer. You want to take care of your academic affairs, and you want to work hard at it, because the work ethic that you have in the classroom translates a lot of time with the work ethic that you have in your specific sport. And as a result, you reap the benefits of it.
Yes.
And and a lot of times in this day and age, or just in general, you know, being a great student is frowned upon in many communities, or in many, you know, depending on your friend group. So sometimes you have to severance yourself from that group that is not the right fit for you, and connect yourself with a group of peers that will push you academically as well as athletically. And, you know, that is my advice to a lot of student athletes. Like, what do you want? I want to do this. So what are you going to do about it? Because nothing comes easy, and you have to build on it. You know, I hear a lot of times, you know, we talk about brick by brick. Like, you have to build on it day after day after day. And if you don't, then you run the risk of not fulfilling your potential. And there's a slew of, we all know them. There's a coach, everybody. We've been around people that are very capable of being at the next level, but for some reason or another, they never reach their potential because they compromise on their work ethic. They compromise in the classroom.
Yes.
They compromise with who they hang out with. So yes, it's hard. It's hard out here. I tell kids that all the time. If you think it's easy to play college basketball, or if you think it's easy to play high school basketball, you're kidding yourself. It's an international game now. And if you don't believe me, look at the draft. Look at the WNBA draft. Look at the NBA draft. If you don't think you're competing against everybody in the world, you are not ready for it. And it's just a trickle down from the league to college to high school. You name it.
Yeah.
There are tons of kids that would love to come and play, you know, come and play in the States. They're working out every day. They're getting after it. So that would be my advice. A little long-winded on that, but good question.
Serbian boys ain't
somebody
play.
said them Serbian boys. That's right. No. Eat or get eaten, as they say.
Hey, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're so right.
Hey, you know, like I said.
All right.
Good question, Johnny.
Thank you, my brother Johnny. Thank you. Hey, anybody else? Any questions? Any commendation for Coach? All right. All right. Hey, I appreciate my audience. Thank you for being a part of today's program. Looking forward to seeing you again next week on the Kevon Godfrey Youth Empowerment Program. My guest, hey, Coach, listen, I appreciate you. We need to say when we're going to Jamaica, Coach. We need to plan something because I want you. We're in talks with coaches, and I know I want you to get somebody from Jamaica to come up here. You understand me? To be under your tutelage to mold that life. So we need to be talking some more, all right? And we'll be having some further
Yes, sir.
conversation. Definitely. But coach, again, as I said, I thank you for just taking the time out just to share with us, share with us the excellent and O's of the sport, but also to share with us your personal testimony and how God has brought you to where you are and how he can do it for others. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Again, for those who don't know about the Kevon Godfrey Youth Empowerment Program, it is geared to impact, inspire, and uplift people, coaches, athletes, people in general, by the sharing of testimony from student athletes and coaches all over and persons, just to come on the platform to share how God has taken them from where they were to where they are, and to prove that he's able to transform any life that subjects itself to him. Bless you, coach. Thank you, my audience. Have a productive, God bless week. Looking forward to seeing you again on the Kevon Godfrey Youth Empowerment Program. We're out. We want to go out as we started by playing what the Nas said. God bless you. See you, Coach Will. Anybody have any questions for Coach, you can text me or email me and I'll make contact with Coach and we'll set up something. All right, God bless you.
God bless you too. Thanks, Scott.